get a lot out of this one. This one is going to be on critical and analytical thinking. Something that I know a lot of you are going to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Like always, streaming on Facebook, on YouTube. And so you're going to be able to get multiple areas where you'll be able to listen to our stream. So if you have any questions or comments, please jump onto either YouTube or leave some comments in LinkedIn, Facebook, or if you're able to join the Zoom call. And either way, we're going to be checking out the comments that you leave. So please do leave some comments. And if not, if anything, just say hello. All right, so I'm just going to do one last check, make sure we're good on all of our platforms. Whoop, 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 whoop. All right, all right. Make sure we're good. Awesome. My sound a little raspy. The whole house got sick, so I'm just cruising right now, but I don't think I'm gonna last long. I think I'm gonna be the next one down. So I have my water here. I don't have my Zelda tea, but I got some water. Hopefully it'll keep me good, at least to get through tonight, and hopefully tomorrow. So once again, my name is Edison Abelard. I'm gonna be your host. I am one of the co-founders of DigiSpy Group, and we help companies and organizations build products and solutions for getting to market and meeting business objectives. Most of the things that we work on are typically enterprise applications, emerging technology, as well as training and group trainings for organizations to help them level up their skills and get their developers up to industry standards. I'm also the host of the Stack Bytes podcast, so check that out as well. I go over industry insights as well as some case studies and emerging technology, so you know what's going on in the industry and what you can and should be pivoting to. Cool? Awesome. So you're definitely in the right place. I'm gonna go over some critical thinking. I'm gonna share with you some of my secret sauce, and I have you dripping in sauce out here. In how you can use critical thinking and analytical thinking skills to further your career as a developer. Cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is being able to to know your own strengths and how to leverage your strengths and understanding your environment. So, quick story, years ago, I played football. And when I played, one of my coaches was really adamant about me understanding every single player's move. Now, I played on a team that had a wing T offense, and I was a fullback. So I was in the back watching everything, right? And so whenever we would run a play, in my mind, I have to know, okay, I have a running back here, and he's going to be doing this move, and I have the linemen that are going to be crisscrossing and then trapping, and knowing what everyone's doing. So right before the snap, I take a snapshot of what's going on, where all of the players are, my players as well as the defensive players. And at that moment, I'm running through my head what everyone is supposed to be doing. Then the quarterback hikes the ball. And once the quarterback hikes the ball, at that moment is when I take again, I look, and I take another snapshot. Right? Now my snapshot is, okay, where did everybody move? Is the linebacker where I expected him to be? Is the lineman or the defensive end or the defensive tackle, are they where my offensive tackles and linemen are going to be able to trap them? And at that moment, I can decide whether or not the play has a potential to actually be successful. So I did something like this in one game versus a rival, big rivalry, in town rivalry. You know, those type of games that your mom, your uncle, your aunts sit on different sides of the bleachers. Like, it's that real. You know, we would eat at the same spots. You know, go to the same Chinese food store, hit up Kennedy's together. I mean, this is it. The parks, the malls. This is bragging rights. And we only play each other for some reason once every, it felt like, 15 or so years, which is weird. And so this year, my team was playing against them. And now I remember running through these things through my head. And as I'm running them through my head, I'm looking, I take my snapshot, right? Initial, everyone's where I'm expecting them to be. I take my second snapshot, and boom, now I'm looking, I'm like, okay, this person's here, this person's here. Oh, this is gonna work. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier, my coach would say is, you have to know where everyone's play is, because you are going to guide the defense, keep their eyes, and will allow your players, your teammates, to be able to do what they do. But you have to be the distracting. You have to be the guiding force. Move in the direction that you need them to go. You hold it down, everyone can then function simultaneously. So what ended up happening was, is on this particular play, that second snapshot kicked in, and I know where everybody is. All right, so I'm like, everyone's gonna hit where they need to hit. Now, my third snapshot, now that's the in the moment. That's that intuition. That's the key to being able to run in real time and think and go through problems and solve. I'm watching it happen, and I take my third snapshot. And at that point, I see the lineman block who they need to block. And now there's one person left. But I know that since the defender's looking at me, he's about to get smashed and doesn't even know what's going to happen. And it happens. And the moment that smash happens, I cut and I just immediately turn and I score a touchdown. It was like a, whatever, 40-yard touchdown, and it was just, wow, everything worked in sync, right? Taking those three snapshots allowed me to analyze the situation. And then from analyzing it, I'm able to identify what's going on, and then in real time react to it, right? Really important in critical and analytical thinking. You need to be able to assess the situation, identify possible routes, and then move forward with real-time analyzing, checking yourself against what you expect to happen versus what's actually happening, right? Really important. I'm gonna make sure I check out our platforms, make sure no one is asking any questions. Boy, got so many tunes stuck in my head. Let's make sure to check our last platform. Yeah, so it is vital. It's so important that you are able to do your critical thinking and go through the motions, go through the opportunities that you have to think, to see what is going on in your world, in your programming, whatever you're working on. You want to be able to take that approach where you can stop and kind of look at what's going on and be able to level up, your thinking and your processes to identify and analyze by first knowing your own strengths. Next, identifying problems and patterns. It is so important that you're able to identify patterns. See, when you're doing something, as human beings, we love patterns, right? We love habits, which is why you might not even realize you do certain things. You might be driving to work or you might be driving somewhere, and you take the same road all of the time. You never really worry about the light, what road you're taking, looking at signs. You start driving and boom, you're there. Your brain has realized the pattern and it can just follow the pattern. You tell yourself subconsciously, I'm about to go to this destination, and boom, get in the car. Next thing you know, you're at the destination. Everything in between, you're still functioning, but your brain is functioning at a higher level where it recognizes the patterns that you've already established. Now, I'll use another football reference. I'm a football guy. I'm a sports guy. You know what I mean? But I remember one particular instance where beyond playing offense, I also played on defense. Okay. And so while playing on defense, I had this opportunity to, as a linebacker, as the core of the defense, I have the ability to, if I'm uncomfortable with what's going on, or if I feel like my instincts are telling me to change the play, I can audible a play and change it. Although the coach has already told us what to do, I can change the play. Well, we were versing this team, and they had the ball. They kept running, and they ran the ball 3 times in a row. They got a first down, and I was like, I know they're gonna pass the ball. I know they're gonna pass the ball. And the way they stood, it was in the same exact formation that they were running. Being a student of the game and somebody who's really excited and passionate about it, I knew what was coming next. And I immediately called an audible, right? I realized that I know there's a pattern coming, but we were expectedly going to be blitzing and trying to stop the run. But right, so here's what happened, right? The truth is your eyes are a window into your soul. You've heard that before, right? Eyes into the window of your soul. You can see, people's intention through their eyes. Well, while you're playing, there are little differences that you start realizing that people are doing. For example, the quarterback had a clear, like, his eyes were shining as if like he knew he was about to catch one on us. And then he had a tight end, which for the most part was always looking at you, really angry, looking across the line, but he was focused, super focused. I was like, that's a little different. So immediately I call an audible and I go into our base defense. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know for sure I'm not going to take a risk by making our team go ahead and blitz. And so, long story short, comes up and I pass him on to the next player. And then he goes down and gets, the quarterback ends up running around and boom, throws him a pass. And as I knew something was coming, they gave it away. The way I knew it was running those same 3 snapshots, right? I knew something was going to go wrong. So I took the first snapshot and I said, nope, don't like this. These 2 things, the quarterback's eyes and the focus of his tight end, told me something is about to happen. So that was my first initial almost identifying and analyzing at that moment. My second was trusting and knowing my own skills and my team, that this is going to blow up. Let me take another snapshot. But before I take that snapshot, let me reset the team, right? I'm going to reset the team and I'm going to make us drop into a base formation, which now I can really analyze the whole entire play without any distractions, without, randomness happening. Our base play is a safe play, and I know where everybody is. So if something happens, I can pinpoint exactly where it happened, and we can discuss it really quick and adjust. And our third snapshot happened after, once he came towards me, and I knew no longer it was a play, a running play. It was a passing play. I was like, bam, there goes a snapshot. I knew something was going to change. I identified and I analyzed. I found the pattern, and I was like, okay, something shifted in the pattern, right? A break in the pattern is still a pattern, right? So in finding that breakage in the pattern, I reacted. Now, later down in the game, I'm gonna grab some water real quick. So later on in the game, we have a situation again where they run the ball 3 times. Now, they run the ball 3 times and then they get a first down. I mean, you can't script this. I know what they're going to do. They're going to run the same play again, right? I do my 3 snapshots again. I take my first snapshot. Where's everybody? At the start of the play. Boom, quarterback once again hikes the ball, and I do my steps, and tight end comes towards me again. Snapshot again. This is exactly what happened last time, right? This time we're already in our base defense, so I don't need to shift. But what does change is I identified that my previous snapshot of the quarterback and the tight end were exactly the same. The in-game snapshot was, this play is happening again because he's doing the same exact motion. What changed this time is the last outcome, right? My third snapshot, my real-time snapshot, where I adjust in what my expectations are versus what the current results were. In differing those differences, I actually look at, how do I make a difference? What do I change, right? I'm already in a base mode. I've already reset the team once. I know what's going to happen. Well, this time I actually follow him. Completely unplanned, I follow him. Why? Because I know that I know where everybody is. The last time we did not have the ability to react, I found the pattern. I know what the pattern is. And so I followed the tight end. The quarterback didn't even see me there because he wasn't expecting it, right? Because I broke a rule in following this new pattern. Long story short, catch an interception, run like 70 yards. And this was just, at that moment, it shook them because they weren't expecting that real-time reaction to a pattern. And I did it. And it was because I was thinking and I was analyzing, thinking and analyzing. Now in football, you're analyzing every second, right? You're talking about being able to run 60 yards in, or 40 yards in a matter of seconds, 4, 5, 6 seconds. Somebody's already down half of the football field. Things happen really quick. Now, when you're developing software, computers analyze really quick. So the reason I use this example is because like computers and football, you have to think quick. And sometimes you have to think and redo and redo and redo in order to catch a pattern. Cool. All right, let me check our list and see what we got going on here. Awesome. Awesome. I'll definitely get to your question in a moment. All right. So let's talk about our next one, right? And it is, how does that affect you as a developer, right? I mean, it's football, right? Who cares? Super Bowl ended. We watched the halftime shows. We saw the commercials. That's it. Football season is over. But applying this as a developer, being able to run through those snapshots, it's about to make sense for you, right? And this is a secret sauce, all right? This is that dripping in sauce. This is it right here, all right? This is the moment that I make the connection for you to be able to analyze and think through how snapshots that I took in football relate to developing. So I mentioned this in a post, I think earlier this week. I was working with a client who had an enterprise application. Okay. This enterprise application was massive. It's running in real time, 60 frames per second. I mean, WebGL, the whole nine. Enterprise application running with WebGL, 60 frames per second, a lot of code all over the place. Well, there was an issue. At some point, the application drops down to 4 frames per second. 4, right? If you think about it, it's like 1, 2, 3. Like, that's how slow it was moving. And it looked even worse because you're expecting things to be happening in real time. Enterprise app, WebGL, everything's supposed to be happening in real time, 60 frames per second. I mean, we're doing everything right, kind of. So what happened? Well, first thing I needed to do is identify the problem. So the first item is to take a snapshot of my performance and JavaScript heap, memory heap, right? I want to see a timeline and I want to see my memory allocation for the application. So I take my first snapshot and I save it to the system. Now I save it because, look, at the end of the day, my system's probably going to crash. So I save both those snapshots to the disk. Then right when the data loads, because I noticed that after a while, it seems to be something's happening around data, right? So I'm thinking, I'm analyzing the situation. I take another snapshot right as the data gets loaded, right? The moment the data gets loaded, boom, take a snapshot. Now I'm able to diff those 2 snapshots, where we started and where we are now, real time, right? Now knowing those 2, I can funnel down, right? I'm able to isolate where in and about my issue is happening. I said I took 2 snapshots, right? In this case, I actually took a timeline performance snapshot, so I can actually see, the bars are starting to change, and I can see that at this one moment, it goes up and it does not come back down for a while, and then it drops, right? So I'm seeing my memory allocation, I'm seeing my objects, I'm seeing my timeline, I'm seeing my frames per second. All of this is happening in this really short window. But what's happening? So I have to drill down, right? After the system slows down, it eventually catches back up again, right? So I take my third snapshot, right? So I take my third snapshot, and this snapshot is now going to be what I'm going to diff against the other two snapshots, because I need to know what's changing between the first snapshot I take, the second snapshot, and the third snapshot. Gives me a timeline. I get to diff in real time, right? Critical and analytical skills are things that you want to develop because they help you focus in, find, identify, and assess a situation, right? And seeing patterns, seeing, different ideas, and seeing your code, and seeing just really life or anything in general from different points of view will allow you to reassess, reanalyze, and find a better solution, or just find a solution if you're just looking for one. And so what ends up happening is diffing the third, I noticed that there's a massive intake of data. I'm like, where did all this data come from? Doesn't make any sense. Well, we're about to find out. Looking at my code, because now I'm getting a little bit deep into this, but I'm looking at my JavaScript functions, right? I find one particular function that seems to be taking a long time to complete. And uh, unless you're a game developer or used to developing any application at 60 frames per second, you'll know that there's certain code that you do not run in a loop. Never run in a loop. And the reason for that is that if you're running a game code, right, you have 16 milliseconds. You take out CPU cycle, and you take out just irregularities with your platform, like a browser or something like that, or a VR device. You're talking about maybe 10 to about 12 milliseconds where you can run code. Anything above that, if your code takes longer than that, your frame rate will drop, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. A lot of music references. I can't help it. So what ends up happening is when I analyze the situation, I break it down and I'll look at it. I find that there's actually one key component, and that's that when the data is loaded, I'm getting about 2.5 megabytes of data, JSON data, into the application, right? And in this function, there's a new operator. This new operator ends up, look, the new operator is guaranteed to create garbage collection. So now it becomes, why is there a new operator in this function? And so the new operator takes a map of the data that was brought from the server, and it creates it and it puts it into a little pocket class that has some methods, but really it's made to transfer data, right? This is a programmer thing, right? Programmers who come into JavaScript tend to do this, where everything is MVC. They need to have classes, inheritance, and okay. And so what ends up happening is because of classes, they created a new construct. That new construct ends up creating garbage that needs to be eventually collected. In this case, the garbage doesn't get collected, but it's hard to find because for this particular case study, our computers had 32 gigs of RAM. Like, we're not finding 30 megabytes, 300 megabytes of garbage collection anywhere going to mess up our system. Now, the browser slowed down, but we're not going to be like, oh man, we have too much data in the browser. With that much memory, browser just going to keep going and going and going. We can multitask for days. And so in doing my snapshots, right, running through 1, 2, and 3, and being able to compare them and analyze and really identify where my possible solutions and possible areas of infliction are, I was able to find this one area. Now, because of having the class ends up pushing our 2.5 megabyte data load into memory and doubling it. Okay. So now we have 5 megabytes of data now, which isn't that bad. It's a lot of text, but it's not that bad. It's not the worst. Except I said 60 frames per second. So when you now run that same code, because it keeps looping through the code over and over again, the data wasn't just brought into the server and then stayed. It runs 60 frames per second. That 5 megabytes ballooned up to 30 megabytes of code, 60 frames per second. So every second it's running through this loop again, over and over and over again. And because of there also being some memory leakage going on, that data was, because it was created as an object and also a class, both of them were not actually gotten rid of, and then they were dropped into the DOM, right? A little extra, but it was dropped into the DOM. So now what you had was you had orphan children that were still accessing the data. So that 30 megabytes kept happening over and over and then stayed in memory. So over time, if you left your computer running long enough, for us in this case, a day or so, your system would shut down and it just ran out of memory because this process just kept running over and over and over again. By taking the snapshots, by understanding and knowing my strengths and knowing the platform and understanding, let me break down my snapshots. Take my original snapshot and take my second snapshot in real time, and then take my third snapshot as a what is my expected result at the end. I'm able to do pretty much a scientific method and check my work, check the patterns, check the flow that I'm going down and seeing how well it's performing, right? In doing so, 300 megabytes later, you got to understand that's a DVD. Like we're doing it every second. A DVD. We're running and playing a full DVD. Okay, look, I dated myself. All right, it's not a DVD anymore. It's running a Netflix. It's like maybe 2 Netflix movies. Uh, so it's a lot of data, but taking the snapshot method, like I said, this is the sauce right here. All right, this is the sauce. Snapshots. Being able to, one, analyze a situation before, get the scope all around. You want to get just a bird eyes view or even get a spherical view, a hemisphere view of the situation, right? Encompass. Second, you want to be able to identify patterns, right? Patterns are things that as humans we like to see. Once we identify the patterns, we're able to then isolate, right? Find out our third snapshot, and that is to be able to analyze and really think about what are we seeing in terms of data. Is there a pattern that's repeating itself that we can then make changes on or act on based off of previous data? Right? These are things that are so important, very important as developers. We need to be able to analyze, right? I use games because it's something that it's unique to me, right? It's my personality. It's, it's something that I love sports. I love games. I love competition. It's something that, like I grew up in, and it is outside of what we normally do as software engineers, as leads, as advisors. But you know what though? That's what critical thinking is. You ever walk down in a, just the day is crazy, you go out for a walk and you come back, you're like, solve the problem. Should have taken this walk a long time ago, right? Meanwhile, you might have been cranking away at it for for hours. But the moment you stop, all of a sudden now you have a solution, right? And so critical analytical thinking does not have to happen exactly in the moment. It can happen anywhere, right? But these are tools that can help you be a better software engineer, help you be able to get those. Wouldn't it be great to be able to quickly solve problems and be an asset on your team? It could just be for being a good team player, or it could be to keep your job. Let's face it, as things get easier to do, those are the people that go away the quickest, right? If you have, at one point, CSS was a job, just CSS, nothing else. Feel me? then you had to know HTML, right? Then your CSS developer became an HTML and CSS developer. Oops, I need interaction. Now I need a JavaScript developer. And so what ended up happening is originally those people who just did CSS, they phased out, right? It was an easy road. Critical and analytical thinking will get you out of that rut, right? It's going to allow you to solve problems and see solutions and possible solutions quicker and faster. Now, it does take time to develop those skills, and these are things that I want to help you with. Well, wouldn't it be awesome to just be able to focus on those skills? Well, I do have a means to help you, and I want to help you narrow down your critical thinking, be able to really sharpen it, right? Because it doesn't always have to happen while you're programming. Sharpen those critical thinking skills, sharpen those analytical skills so that you can find solutions. Become the solution before the problem arises. I mentioned this in the past. Become the solution before the problem, right? And that's practicing these skills and knowing how to practice and how to take advantage of, you know, other people's knowledge base so you can grow and excel much faster, right? Don't walk in the shoes of the giants. Get on their shoulders. All right, jump on the giant's shoulders and grow based on not just your experiences but other experiences and take your knowledge set, take your 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 whole entire experience and capitalize on it. Right, take your skill sets in critical and analytical to the next level. So a lot to get into. Once again, this pattern, this method is just one of my secret sauces for critical and analytical thinking. I hope this made a lot of sense to you, and I really hope to help you in the future be able to solve those critical skills and really sharpen, right? Steel sharpens steel, right? You want to be able to get those skills up to par and keep leveling up. Okay, keep trying, keep mastering, and once you master, it's another technique. Come back down to the basics and do it over again. Right, build up those critical and analytical skills. That sauce will get you so far. Right, get you deep into the game, and there is some more to it. But you know what though? In knowing now that you can leverage critical thinking and analytical thinking and how to do that, it can help you. It can definitely be a difference maker. It can make you an X factor, right? Because that's what happens when you're a team player. When you're somebody who's a solution before the problem, you become an X factor, right? You get those raises. You get People want to see you win, especially when you have that it factor. You feel me? Awesome. All right, let's check out our comments and see what we got going on here. Boom. Nice. Santos, what's up? What's up? What's up? Oh, I'm actually, you know what? Let's make it happen. I can definitely help you out with CSS. Definitely help you out with that. But I'll take it offline. We'll talk about it some more. Uh, I'm actually in Pennsylvania. Yeah, East Coast still, but outside of New York now. Cool. Okay, let's see what else we got going on. That's a fun part about streaming in multiple places. There are different people on different platforms. So I want to make sure, some people prefer to jump into one platform over another. Checking all of our platforms. All right. Like I said before, that's what's up. Uh, when you look at the possibilities of critical thinking, right? So I have one question. How can I apply critical thinking as a junior? I don't know what to think of, and I don't know where I should start. Cool. Definitely a reasonable question, right? I'm gonna say the first thing that you're gonna do is we gotta shift that mindset. Feel me? We have to shift that mindset. In being able to solve and find problems, you have to first solve the initial problem, and it's your thinking, right? You have to believe that you can do it and that you're capable of doing it before you venture down that path. Mindset is so important. That's going to be your key factor. Start off with your mindset. You got to believe that your title as a junior developer should not be a reason why you can't achieve any measurable skill, right? So let's change your mindset, let's change your paradigm, and let's say we can do it, right? So how do you approach the situation? Well, critical thinking and analytical thinking requires practice. It requires building up a level of understanding and a habitual nature of just thinking and analyzing different situations, following patterns within life. Specifically, when you're building out applications or you're working on the web or you're just developing in general, one piece to note is that there's nothing new under the sun. A lot of the patterns that we're seeing now, like DynamoDB, for example, don't remember the guy's name, but we're talking about NoSQL database was actually written. A paper was written in the early, I believe, in the early 40s and 50s, before we had the internet. Technology didn't catch up. Okay, so there are a lot of patterns out there that can work in certain situations. Uh, how do you apply it? Definitely. What I'll say is tune into our next workshop. Because we're going to start breaking down some more ways that you can definitely dive into critical thinking. And I've also reach out to me. I can definitely, I'll send you a link, or I'll put a link in the description. Reach out to me and we'll talk some more, so I can kind of figure out where you're trying to go and what you're trying to solve, because there are different ways to approach critical thinking and analytical thinking across the board from different spectrums. All right, cool, awesome. Checking out some more questions. How did I get started? All right, cool story. So the way I got started was uh, I decided to, instead of going to school for football and going down that path and that dream, I actually went to school for computer graphics. Right, I went to computer graphics, and my area of study was going to be in game development, game design. So I learned the art aspect, and I learned all the skills necessary. I mentioned this in the past. I've also created, a roadmap, a career roadmap to where I want to be and what I want to do. And so in doing that, I was able to kind of go through and really learn how to develop, learn how to become a better designer, better developer. And what we call now UX and UI, back then were really separate trades. And so, I've been doing this for over 15 years now. So there's a lot that I've seen, done, and really truly enjoy in the industry. I've been in it long enough that I kind of create my own path now, and I'm able to work the way I want to work. I did co-found DigiSpire Group, and that's really fun. It's been really awesome. Working with Kate on that. It's been, definitely something that takes time to do. But you love something, you're passionate about it. It's never work, right? It's all play. So I definitely. So I got my start early. I started off. So I did have a business early on before DigiSpire. So I started off early doing graphics, and then I transitioned because true like true story. I was doing airbrushing, right? And at some point, my paint is costing me about $3 to $4 per shirt. My shirts are costing me about $15, right? That's already $19, 18, $19. I'm charging 25. I mean, you do the math. There's no way I can survive. Like, I need to multiply, get more employees, and do so many other things. And so I went digital, and from there, game design and game development, applications, enterprise. These are all things that were already, in my mind, and I had the mindset that I have no plan B. I'm gonna make this happen. And so I found experts. I found people who were smarter than me. Right. I was reading books, and they were talking about this thing like mastermind groups and coaching and mentoring, and And I was like, wait, what? And so that's what I did. I put myself in a situation where I was around people who were much smarter than me, and I was able to learn and grow from, their expertise. And so that is what really pushed my career and accelerated my career so much faster, because I did that. I took the step to get mentors and get knowledge right from the source, right? Before the books, before the blogging, get that right from the source. So that's how I got started. See what else we got going on. Yeah, keep the questions coming. I'm gonna try to keep them general enough that everyone can benefit from them, but also make sure that they're direct enough that your questions are answered. You don't feel like I'm just skirt around your questions. uh, how often do I do this? So right now we have our 5-day workshop. So I'm going to be going live 5 days straight. Every day I'm going to cover a different topic, specifically on developing you as a software developer. If you haven't joined yet, Developers Leading in Tech, you can find it on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. You can visit easonabelard.com, and sign up for some more. In the description, there'll also be links so you can gain access and sign up so you can get notified immediately. Make sure you sign up so you can get uh, that link directly in your inbox, so you always know what's going on, the subject that we're covering, and you can ask your questions earlier on, so I can kind of address them in the videos earlier on. But yes, it's going to be 5 days straight, and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I always go live. So Santos was asking about CSS. I can definitely put out some other stuff. I have some other questions too on Vue.js and React. So yes, I can definitely dive deeper into specifics for different industries as well as different technology stacks. If that's something that you guys want me to cover, I can definitely cover that as well. There's definitely a lot of room for us to work on different avenues. So for sure, I'll make that happen. But you got to sign up to find out when it's going down. Wednesdays I try to keep that live to Q&A so that we can have that one-on-one talk. 'Cause I feel like really you can read a blog post, but we can just chop it up. You can just ask me a question and we can get those things answered so we can get you moving forward faster, rather than waiting and doing video on demand. Live is just so much realer. Plus if I mess up, like it's real talk, you can catch me off guard, right? Cool. So our next live is going to be tomorrow night. So you can also jump on YouTube. You can catch me on YouTube. We're going to be posting live again on Facebook and LinkedIn. There'll always be a link to the YouTube live as well as a Zoom. Oh, speaking of which, let me make sure to check Zoom. There'll also be the Zoom chat that you can jump into. So if you want to ask questions, you can also do that there as well. Once again, this is Edison Abelard. Thank you so much. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you want more information and you want to see what else is going on, hey, check out the Stack Bytes podcast, right? That's why I give most of the advice on emerging technology, what's going on for leads and senior developers. And so at all levels, just being around it, listening to it will get you to the next level. So definitely check out the Stack Bytes podcast. And I'm gonna see you guys live again tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't get this cold too bad because it feels like it's kicking in. The wonders of having children and being in school. It's like it's like jump fest, no matter what. But it's all good though. Do it for you guys. So let's ride. To the next one. It's an blood. I'm out.